We have an exciting program planned for you today that will feature just a handful of our College of Engineering insider information. But before we get to that, I wanted to take a moment to discuss our college with you so that if you choose, you will be equipped to serve as a college friend and ambassador. The college has a long history, as you saw through some of these videos here. It's almost 80 years old, college, to educate engineers and entrepreneurs and positively impacting quality of life through research and innovation. Transistors, safety belts for vehicles, and so on. The college began with 4 disciplines: chemical, electrical, mechanical, and civil. It now has 7 departments and also division of engineering technology and a number of interdisciplinary programs. We have been known as pioneering institution in research areas such as bioengineering and automotive research, and now are leaders in multidisciplinary fields such as biomedical engineering, green technologies, and manufacturing. We are held by an outstanding, internationally renowned faculty. They are creating life-saving steels and greener cement, preventing invasive species in the Great Lakes, minimizing energy consumption of mobile devices, unlocking new energy sources, discovering new sources of biofuel, improving battery performance, and impacting green energy conversions and storage systems. As far as I know, the gas price is almost $4. So this research will improve quality of life and make life easier for all of us. And that only represents a small percentage of our faculty's green technology research. We are guided by a remarkable group of alumni, our Board of Visitors and our Engineering Alumni Association, and are focused on achieving our mission to be a premier engineering college known for improving quality of life through education, innovation, and entrepreneurship. To do this, we have been working on a revised strategic plan. We have also recently established our 5 elements of a successful Wayne State College of Engineering education. We are focused on providing our students with hands-on experiences, experiential learning through internship and co-ops, scholarship opportunities, a global perspective, and undergraduate research experiences. Our driven and passionate students are taking advantage of these opportunities. For instance, students Rachel Malberg and Luke Papel and Amani Al-Kayali spent last summer in Washington, D.C. pursuing summer internships. Paul Chabot and a team of civil engineering students gained valuable hands-on experiences building bridges in regional competitions. Marta Zalzala and Devin Patrick secured the scholarships that helped them earn their degrees. Stephanie Boyle, as a member of the Transportation Research Group, is working directly with expert faculty members on child safety seats, seatbelt use among truck drivers, and downsizing urban thoroughfares. And we just announced a Global Experiences Scholarship Program to give more of our students a global perspective. We have Wayne State College of Engineering alumni living and working in 48 countries and all 50 states. They work as software engineers, pediatrics general surgeons, automotive engineers, engineering consultants, transportation engineers, president and CEOs of a wide variety of companies, and much more. With 80 years of history, it is difficult to fit everything into a 5-minute overview. That said, I encourage you to visit our website at engineering.wayne.edu, read materials like our exemplar magazine and the 2-page overview to get more extensive overview of Wayne State College of Engineering. And you should memorize those because that would be exam at the end of the presentation for them. It is an exciting time to be in engineering. And it's an exciting time to be at Wayne State. Our engineering enrollment is up more than 8%. We continue to hire remarkable faculty members and researchers. College support is up thanks to our alumni and friends. National average starting salaries are up 3.8% for both engineering and computer scientists. Internship and co-op opportunities are available for our students, and technologies most of us can only dream up are being created, patented, and commercialized every day. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our panel of College of Engineering insiders. It is our goal that their college and career experiences will give you an even better idea as to the impact of a Wayne State College of Engineering experience on our students, alumni, friends, and the greater community at large. I will introduce them by one, and would you please come to the podium or to the seats here so we can then start the Q&A. Dr. Harold Mertz is a biomechanical engineering alumnus and creator of the worldwide standard crash test dummy. Dr. Mertz. Sitting next to us right here. Dr. Elizabeth Bach earned her PhD from our chemical engineering department. She now works as fire scientist at Fire and Materials Research Lab, LLC. Bioscientists coming on board. Please. Dr. Yuri Galavani is our new biomedical engineering chair and pioneer of molecular genetics in vivo imaging. We'll explain that to you later. Mr. James Kurochi is an electrical and computer engineering alumnus. He is the former CEO of Next Energy and currently serves as president of Green Lark Energy Partners. And last, Norman Dodson is one of our most active students. He's earning a bachelor's degree in industrial and system engineering as the president of the engineering student faculty board. So the script here tells me that I'm going to ask you questions. One by one, I'm going to go around the room and ask those questions. And we have only about 30 minutes to get our answers to some of our questions, and then I'll end it with a quick fire round. Okay? We'll start with the same question for all of you. What drew you to engineering? Harold?
Okay, I guess it was the thing that my folks said to me. They wanted somebody to go to college. I would be the first one. And the choice of what was I going to take. And when I look back at myself then, and it was, I did well in mathematics. I was quite in the front of the class all the time in math, and not in any other classes other than maybe science. So I didn't know if I could get into any college. But when I applied to Wayne State, I was surprised that all the teachers at my high school recommended me to go to college and to take up engineering. I chose aeronautical engineering because I was enthusiastic about building model airplanes when I was young and flew the U-control things. So, and aeronautical engineering also had the most math classes.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Hi, everybody. My background is in chemistry. I have both a bachelor's and a master's degree in chemistry. So I knew a lot about carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen on the periodic table. But after receiving a master's degree, I didn't know there was more than one kind of stainless steel. So they didn't tell me that. So when I decided to pursue a PhD, Instead of getting a PhD in chemistry, I went to the engineering department, and now I know a lot about stainless steel.
Fantastic. Now, how many kind of steel do we have now?
Oh, stainless steel, there's quite a few.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Dr. Mertz, I was encouraged by my parents to go to college. I was the first in my family to attend college. And in high school, I wasn't what I would call a stellar student. Didn't apply myself all that well, but I was a tinkerer. I liked to take things apart and put them back together. Lots of electrical type things, which I got a few shocks over the years as a kid as I put things together the wrong way. But you know, very inquisitive, and applied at Wayne State, and fortunately was accepted in, and chose engineering because I think of that inquisitive tinker kind of mentality. And after a lot of hard work in terms of starting with pre-calc and other kind of remedial classes here at Wayne, and the opportunity they gave me, ended up graduating with honors you know, a few years later. So you know, why engineering? I mean, again, the tinker part of me, and secondly, you know, an opportunity to really give back, to make a contribution to society while making, you know, a good, honest living.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I started not in engineering. I started in medicine and biology. Became a doctor, but because of all of my life from the childhood early on, I also was a tinker. I put my first detector radio from a transistor, a coil, and you know, solenoid, and so on. One capacitor, and so on, in maybe when I was 5, 6 years old, as my parents tell me. So when I graduated medical school and became a neurosurgeon, analogy, you know, putting things apart, trying to put them together. In many cases, I ended up in a situation where I had missing parts. So not too many parts from the human being you can transplant. So developing both instrumentation, electronics, as well as the surgical devices, as now also the artificial tissues and organs, has become a great interest of mine. Being able to visualize disease as it develops early on, before you need to surgically remove it, because therapy doesn't really work well, especially in cancer. That became the prime of my profession. That became the reason why I ventured more and more into engineering, a different kind of engineering, biomedical engineering. So I would welcome you to consider that in your careers, whoever wants to pursue this. Thank you.
Thank you. No?
All right, I guess similar to a lot of our panelists, I guess my interest in engineering originally started when I was a kid. I come from a big family, so all the kids, we would build like booby traps with dental floss or walkie-talkies. However, still at a young age, you know, you're not thinking about what career I'm going to go into. So it honestly came, I realized I wanted to be an engineer in high school. I took an engineering methods course, and the first assignment was to research an engineering profession in a university and, you know, report back on it. So, of course, I went to Google, and I typed in engineering, salary. I found the engineering field that, you know, that I liked. It was something that kind of fit me. So to everyone in here that's lucky enough to have that passion and actually go into engineering, I mean, I applaud you. But, yeah, that's how I'm an engineer.
You're in the right field.
Yeah.
You're in the right field. Thank you. So, Dr. Mertz, how did you come about investigating the standard for crash test dummies?
Well, that's a good question. It started right here at Wayne State University. When I was in my master's degree program, I was working as a student assistant, and General Motors Corporation had a project with Wayne State to look at human tolerance and response to impact. And I was assigned to that program by Professor Patrick, who was my mentor. And I looked at what was going on in that. This was back in about 1963, 64 era. They put an impact sled in the old aeronautical laboratory in the building over here. And And so I got involved with human tolerance, cadaver impacts, human volunteers, and what have you, and dummies. And it was clear that the dummy was not providing the same response as the human volunteer, neither was the cadaver, though. So that's how I got involved.
Fantastic. We still have those cadavers there
I know.
in the basement of that building.
I know.
Those are nice.
Mr. Albert King can give you a tour of those if you need to.
Albert was my office partner, so I know all about that. Right, Albert?
Okay, Dr. Buck, did you set out to become a pyroscientist? Can you explain what that means to our audience?
And I don't recommend you do this at home, but as a pyroscientist, I set things on fire and collect data. And the difference between me and a pyromaniac is probably the pay grade. I guess a pyroscientist is what I would term as performing research in the area of fire and explosion investigations. It was an intern position that I accepted after my master's degree in chemistry to look into the chemical aspects of a nitroparaffin plant explosion, and from there I learned everything that goes into investigations, from OSHA to the local authority having jurisdiction. I think investigators are really analogous to engineers because we're always asking why something happened, and true engineers look for solutions to prevent fires and explosions from happening again. So that's something I've been working on for the past 17 years, and it's a very active field.
So when are you going to have your own TV show? We would like to watch it.
Right for reality TV.
And for those young audience here today, don't pay attention to cadavers and fires and stuff. There's good stuff coming there. Oh, we have a surgeon there who'll like to take these apart and put it back together. I don't know what we did here. Okay, Mr. Croce, you have had a remarkable career thus far. What 3 roles or accomplishments are you most proud of, and of course, why?
Well, I don't know about if we have time for 3 roles, but I'll talk about a couple. So I've spent most of my career in the energy field. And it started as a co-op in 1985. I got a co-op assignment while here as a junior, I believe, at Wayne State, working at a company downtown that no longer exists called A&R Pipeline Company. They were a natural gas transportation and storage company. And when I graduated, I had an opportunity to work for them full time. Actually decided not to work for them full time and went out into a different job for just a couple of years, but was bit by the energy bug and came back after just a couple of years, and I've been in energy ever since. And so I spent about 15 years rising through the ranks in large corporate environments, utilities, both electric and natural gas. The latest kind of corporate job I had was at DTE, where I was a vice president there, and decided, really had the entrepreneurial itch, and decided to leave the corporate world for entrepreneurial ventures. And one of the things I'm most proud of is the opportunity to be the first CEO at Next Energy, which is a technology incubator located here at Techtown. And it was an opportunity for me, after about 15 years in the corporate world, to scratch my entrepreneurial itch and also give back to Wayne State University. And it was a great learning experience, great opportunity. I had the opportunity to partner with some professors here at Wayne, and we funded some work, founded the National Biofuel Energy Laboratory under Dr. Ng, who eventually spun out a company out of that lab called NextCat, one of the startups here that Wayne State has a license to, and really got entrenched in the entrepreneurial community here at Wayne, which is one of the things that's really evolved since I left in 1986. So I could go on, but you know, that was a really proud and rewarding experience doing that work.
Thank you. You've chosen the right field, energy. And that's what we were talking about, and that's what we want our audience to have, a lot of energy. Mm-hmm. Dr. Gilwani, you have known as a pioneering of the molecular genetics in vivo imaging. Tell us what that's all about.
Well, to put it in lay terms, basically, if you recall, last decade there was a decade of emergence of the field called gene therapy. So people thought that all the diseases that we suffer from are encoded only by genes. You know, genes goes mutant, and then 1 or 2 genes go mutant additionally, and you get a disease, which then could be corrected if you somehow deliver the proper non-mutant gene to the tissues. Yeah, that is the problem. So how you would deliver that gene everywhere into all the tissues, or even just into the affected tissues. So there are a lot of approaches that people tried, using viruses, using so-called liposomes, little grease bubbles into which the people put DNAs and for the proper genes, try to deliver them. And a lot of clinical trials went on using these technologies. However, there was no control, no means to see really where these DNA is going, number one. What is the level of expression or production of proteins from that gene, if at all it gets produced? And the question number 3, does it do what it's supposed to do in the norm as compared to the abnormal gene? So what I set the goal for my research lab at the time, to use methods of genetic engineering to develop approaches that would enable visualization and quantification of the messages encoded along with that therapeutic DNA, and that could be visualized. So one of the approaches was that that message reporter DNA would encode a protein which is expressed on the surface of the cell, which binds a radio-labeled compound, a drug, radio-labeled with the isotope, very, very tiny isotope amounts that are synonymous to, let's say, 1 day on the beach. That's the amount of radiation you're going to get from that. But which we can detect by means of non-invasive body imaging, like CTs, MRIs, SPECTs, positron emission tomography. And in particular, I developed this first method that would enable visualization of artificially delivered genes in whatever, in a liposome, in a virus, through that reporter gene that ushered the new age of molecular genetic imaging. Today, it's the multi-billion-dollar industry. So that's the short version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Do I have to follow that?
Norm, what is your favorite project you have worked on as a Wayne State student?
Wow,
I hope
okay.
It's not that you work with the cadavers or set fires or whatever. Tell us what you've done.
All right, well, I'm going to probably change the scope. Instead of talking about something I've done in the classroom, a little something I've done outside of the classroom here at Wayne State University. One thing that Wayne State does an excellent job of is it gives us students the opportunity to kind of do that hands-on work. Instead of saying, okay, this is what you learn in the classroom, this is what you do with it, they say, okay, here are some skills, now show us what you're going to do with it. So working with the different student organizations and project teams, I think the #1 project that I've worked on was like the Yes Expo. For those who aren't familiar with the Yes Expo, it's the Youth Engineering and Science Expo. It's held annually at Ford Field. This year, about 20,000 high school students attended. So what we did, our student orgs here at Wayne State, about 10 student organizations, we set up booths at Ford Field. Each booth was interactive. So the chemical engineers, they basically melted glass and made it, I'm not a chemical engineer, so I can just kind of give you guys the basis. They made it indestructible. You know, the different engineering disciplines, they kind of did their thing. As an engineer, I know you, to the high school students, middle school students out there, you probably assume that we just know everything about engineering. Not the case whatsoever. So for me, it was a learning experience, knowing that we had these bright engineers under the same roof that, you know, I take my classes, my classes and my studies in. But yeah, that event, like I said, I got to see the faces of these young students who, for the most part, they may have not even been thinking about engineering, but just kind of seeing their face, watch them interact, and then me being able to interact as well, because I took advantage of some of those booths. that was just rewarding, and it made me proud to be an engineer.
Thank you. And I know that you have been interning in several companies the past summers,
Yeah.
right? Ford and GM.
Ford, DTE, Volkswagen. Right now I'm doing research at the VA, and I'm doing a business minor, so I work with TD Auto Finance as well.
Fantastic. Dr. Mertz, how did your education here at Wayne State help you in your career?
Well, the education here actually made my career. If I hadn't come here, I don't know what I'd end up doing. I was a sports advocate. Maybe I would play sports, but they weren't paying much back then, so I don't know. No, maybe a mechanic in a garage, but coming to Wayne State was the best decision I made, and I think it was really my folks that made that for me, for which I'm very blessed. And it turned out I switched my major from aeronautical engineering to engineering mechanics to bioengineering, working with on projects at the university here, human tolerance to impact. That became my career. I went to General Motors in '69 and stayed there for 36 years working on auto safety work for General Motors Corporation. And then the other thing that really changed my life is I married my boss's daughter, secretary, so at Wayne. So that certainly.
That was
if I didn't say that, she'd be on me. Yeah, so. Anyway, I can't say getting involved in the research with your professors, you just can't get enough of that. That was learning and getting paid for it, and that's just a great opportunity for anyone.
Thank you. And that's, again, one of the 5 elements of success, undergraduate research. We're encouraging our students to get involved in research, and we do pay them for working with the faculty members in the research labs in that time frame. All right, Dr. Buck, what is the most exciting project you have worked on?
Well, I'll give you 2 examples. One is a non-field example. So off the field, fires and accidents and explosions are devastating to people's lives if they survive, and then to property, to their property if they're not present. There's the National Fire Protection Association that develops a lot of codes, standards, and guides to protect life and preserve property from fire and explosion. I serve on a number of committees for hazardous chemicals, combustible dusts, and combustible metals. So it's an opportunity to help develop codes and standards to protect life and preserve property from fires and explosions. That's the most exciting thing off field, but I guess on field, I would have to say, while I like working in the lab, I do take every opportunity to get dirty in the field. And I guess a favorite recent loss was the environmental quality, or EQ, fire that occurred in Romulus, I'm going to say in 2004. So it was a large event that I think made CNN, and I was able to go down there and with a training in hazardous waste operations and procedures, was able to actually get inside the tank where the event occurred, collected information, and reproduced it on that scale in the lab. So I was able to say what event caused that large loss in Romulus a few years ago. So that was pretty exciting.
It is exciting. Our next video should have that included. All right, Mr. Croce, what the college was like when you were here as a student, what is your impression of it today?
Well, I had to make a few notes on this one because it's been quite a while since I was on campus, so I had to think back hard as to what the school is like and how it's changed. You know, first I'll talk about the physical infrastructure. You know, this building was not here. Even the building next door, which is now considered the old building, was not here, at least the addition. In fact, my senior year, 85, 86, the engineering building was shut down, and we were all working out of Old Main, and Old Main hadn't been refurbished yet. So Old Main was kind of a wreck at the time, and we had a bunch of engineering labs crammed in the basement of Old Main while this building was under the building next door was under construction. You know, I remember things like the Verner's plant and Vern's restaurant, which was next door, which had the best patty melts on campus. That's been long gone, that place. I remember a lot of political activism on campus. I came in right after the Iran hostage crisis, and President Reagan was just coming into office, and there was lots of protests on campus. It was very vibrant. I don't know if that still goes on today, but it was quite a political hotbed. What else are in my notes here? I remember teletypes. I don't know if you even know what teletypes are. I came in after the cards. You hear about these cards, computer cards, reader that used to get read. Well, I wasn't quite that archaic, but what we had was little teletypes where it didn't you have a screen, you just had a typewriter and some paper that rolled through, and that's where you would get your feedback. Rather than on a screen, it would be on a paper roll. Distributed computing was just coming about back when I was in college here. I think my senior year we may have had our first PC computer lab, but other than that it was all kind of teletypes. And so how have things changed today? I think some of it is pretty obvious based on what I've said, but I think culturally it's changed a lot. You know, it was mostly, almost entirely a commuter school when I was coming here. There was very little campus housing. And now I see just so much more of that, and it's much more of a community. So I think that's changed quite a bit. I think the expansion of the disciplines here, big energy program here, more in biomedical engineering. It was almost, you know, pretty concentrated on automotive when I was here, and I think it's diversified quite a bit. So the last thing I would just say is diversity. One of the great benefits of coming to school here was a diverse environment, you know, studying with people from all over the world, sitting next to me, in front of me, behind me. It looks, by the looks of this room, it looks like that's continuing to this day.
Thank you. It has changed a little bit, correct? And again, the field, the areas, the traditional engineering disciplines which we do, but also we are into multidisciplinary research and educational programs. Dr. Galwani, you joined us in fall 2012 as a department chair. You joined us from MD Anderson as a neurosurgeon, as a chair of the Department of Biomedical Engineering, and that department is a joint between medical school and the College of Engineering. And I guess you have an appointment in both medical school and the College of Engineering. You're in the progress in that. What surprised you most about Wayne State students when you came in here?
That's an excellent question, although I have thought about this so far that I interacted with students. What really excites me about is their degree of motivation and inquisitive spirit and eagerness to learn. And most importantly, their broader horizons, kind of their vision into the future that covers multidisciplinarity that you mentioned about. You know, today's engineers and today's surgeons, that profession is so blending, believe me or not, especially for surgeons. If today you are not interested in how the device that you're using in robotics, tele-robotic surgery performs, you will never be able to even work on that device. You cannot perform an operation in Mumbai, India, sitting in Paris or in New York behind the telerobotic manipulator. If you don't know how what are the principles of MRI, which are deeply rooted in physics, you will never understand the principles of diagnosis of using this technology and differences in water and spin contact, spin magnetization of, let's say, normal tissues versus abnormal tissues. And that's what our students are kind of striving to understand, and that's where I'm so much excited to see this kind of removal of the blindfolds focused on one profession and opening up more of kind of a vision and lateral angle views that our students have here with very high math skills, with very high physics and exact scientist skills, but now being applied in cross disciplines like in biomedicine. That's what excites me about them.
Thank you. And I know that you're working with your colleagues in chemical engineering and electrical engineering and computer science and mechanical to offer a pre-med track out of your program, and that's what to attract more.
Yes, if I just can spend 30 seconds about that. We have developed over the years, it's based on what we developed over the years, several students that wanted to use their biomedical engineering knowledge to further advance it and apply it in medicine. Not all of them decided to, after graduation, even after graduation of medical school, to continue as practicing physicians or researchers. They used the knowledge in medicine they gained in medical school to then better understand the needs of today's medicine, and using their biomedical engineering, I would say engineering skills, to address those needs, developing new equipment, new diagnostic or therapeutic instrumentation, developing new materials for drug delivery, developing new tissues for regenerative therapies, and so on. So based on this, we decided, well, why don't we just, instead of tailoring to each student separately what their educational curriculum should be, to then have better chances to get into the medical school, develop a indoctrinated and ABET accredited program that would be pre-med enhanced. So those who would graduate, let's say 3.5, 3.7 GPA, would have preferential consideration for enrollment into the medical school here and elsewhere. So that's what we're developing now. Thank you.
Norm, why Wayne State?
Why Wayne State? Okay. Well, first and foremost, I mean, as you guys know, I'm an engineer. Not only an engineer, I'm a Detroit engineer. With that being said, if I can use my skills to assist in the development and just the betterment of any type of city, any city, any community, why not Detroit? That was my basis of choosing Wayne State. In addition to that, I guess you can call this a selfish reason, maybe. I mean, Wayne State's 2 miles away from the GM headquarters, about 4 miles away from Ford's headquarters. We have Tardac down the street. We have American Axle down the street. DMC is right here. I mean, you guys heard me list the different internship and co-op opportunities I've had already. I'm not sure if I would have been able to do that and continue in full-time schooling elsewhere. Like Wayne State just makes it easy for me to go to school, literally walk down the street if I want to, or ride my bike, or whatever means of transportation I choose, and get to work. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's why Wayne State.
Good, fantastic. I'm glad that you're here with us. In fall 2011, we hired 8 faculty members in the College of Engineering. 4 of those were female faculty, coming from various universities. So Dr. Buck, what would you say to your young female students to get them to think more about careers in engineering and computer science?
I would say stick with it for sure. I mean,
It's harder, but it's good.
Yeah, all doors open after graduate school.
Fantastic. Mr. Croce, what advice would you give to students contemplating an engineering degree?
Oh, go for it. I mean, the engineering program equips you to learn just about anything in life. It's the rigor of the education that will set you up for success. So even if you don't work as an engineer sometime in your career, and really today, I don't necessarily work as a straight engineer today. I work mostly on business problems. But that the career in engineering, the education in engineering just, taught me how to learn and how to adapt.